A.B. Common Mark?
Jeff Buckley, Beastie Boys, Pearl Jam, Nirvana.
As soon as we moved into digital, the loudness wars accelerated.
People thought, okay, well, if that average level can be louder, I'll make mine louder than the other person.
If the song starts too quietly, people are gonna be like, what's wrong with it?
I want mine louder, I want mine punchier than yours.
Who's responsible for the loudness race?
I want mine to get on the radio and fucking kick ass.
Up and up.
Oh, this feels better. This feels better.
And up.
Of course, my name was at the top of the list of the offender.
You ruined the music.
That was the beginning of the end.
Screw him.
Right, here we go.
I guess growing up and listening to music as a consumer and even as a music maker to a certain extent, it just didn't really occur to me that loudness played such a role in what we do.
99% of my clients are concerned about loudness, about how loud is it going to be when it reaches the consumer.
The big pop sound, or the hip hop stuff. You want that wall of sound. It begs you to be loud.
It's louder, it's brighter, it's presenting, it's exclaiming, the story is able to be told.
I remember my boss, Bob Ludwig, always going, and we got to get that Neumann cutter head and this special computer, and we can make records a little bit louder than our competitors.
We're always wondering how Doug got his masters so clear and so loud, and how Sterling always got their masters so clear and so loud.
0.2 dB difference in loudness is enough to make the ear and brain feel that there's more depth in the material, that it sounds more spacious, and it's just because it is louder.
Let's take it back. Can you tell me in layman's terms, what is loudness?
Loudness is a perception. It's what the ear and brain judge for how loud something is. Back in 1935 or so, a pair of scientists named Fletcher and Munson quantified that at lower sound levels, the perception of bass was less. So what this means is the louder that I make the master, the more bass it seems to have.
Loudness as a consumer is going to be your comparative listening volume from going track to track to track to track. And when you have a certain track that's playing back maybe a couple dB quieter, it can be extremely noticeable.
Loudness plays a critical role in allowing us to enjoy music in the real world when there's not just music playing. If anyone's ever tried to listen to jazz radio or classical in a car, by minute 2 you're getting blasted by the music because the dynamic range is so huge.
The cost of turning the loudness up and up and up, loss of subtlety, dynamics, impact, transience.
So let's say you have acoustically recorded drum set. You want to use compression to control the sound of those drums. You go too far, all of a sudden you start losing something.
There is a point of no return.
It's a really fine line because clipping and limiting can shave and bend your transients, giving the impression of just more thrust and more urgency with this. So that can make things sound like it's hitting harder too.
We were like very early stages of doing digital signal processing for audio. There was nothing. There were analog records and so on, and there was just take whatever you had in analog and sample it and put it on the CD.
That's where the trouble began.
There is a limitation. There's like a peak volume in digital audio that we deal with.
You wanted to make your sound louder, and what prevented you from going louder was the peaks.
Over that peak is gonna start to distort.
We used to clip our converters.
But if you hit it too hard, it would crackle up, so we couldn't do that.
I went to visit Izar Ashdod, my friend, and he has this sound designer software. Looking at his waveform and spotting the peaks, zoom in, take the pencil tool, and redraw the peaks, like one by one over his whole record, basically. And I'm saying, hey, we know to do this in digital processing, and we need a limiter to do this. Luckily, I had Michael Jerzen working with me at the time. He was my teacher, my guru. And Michael came up with these algorithms that, like that, and that's where the L1 started.
Everybody who heard it was like, wow.
It was a tool that was unlike anything else.
That's when everything kind of changed.
It didn't sound like a compressor, which is basically all we had.
As you pulled that left slider down.
Oh, this feels better. This feels better.
Oh man, game over.
We were dealing with, at that time, a very competitive business.
So in L1, we introduced the look-ahead brick wall limiter. In L2, we introduced automatic release control. It listens to your music. It also allows to push more.
Everybody's putting out records. I want mine a little brighter than yours. I want mine a little heavier than yours. I want mine to get on the radio and fucking kick ass, put my CD in it and blow my head off.
People thought, okay, well, if that average level can be louder because your peaks are lower, I'll make mine louder than the other person. And everybody went for loudness.
Even if it didn't sound perfect, it was louder, it had to be better.
You either had L1 and L2 and you were able to get a loud mix, or you didn't and you were an amateur.
It made the music sound like what I was hearing on the radio.
And there was no other choice out there. It was it.
U2, Chili Peppers, White Zombie, The Killers, Jeff Buckley, Garbage, Beastie Boys, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Metallica. The L2 was always in my mastering chain.
2 dB on one, 1 dB on the next, half dB on the last one. And I mean, that was the way we did it for years.
Everybody, you jacked up that L2. Yeah, I had to because, I was asked to.
We could see that there was a problem.
I was accused, you ruined the music, stuff like that. What can I say? It's a tool. Use it however you wish.
I Google searched, why does my Metallica Death Magnetic album sound so fizzy?
I think I read that on one of those chat sites. And there was my name right under there. And this guy's the worst offender. I'm like, wait a minute. I took offense to that.
I think it was kind of cool to say, early internet, oh, music's getting so loud.
300 people, yeah, I heard that too.
So I went online and learned about it. It was like, wow, they're trying to get records louder and louder and louder to compete for, a multitude of reasons.
And there was another project. I didn't work on a Chili Peppers record. And Californication. Rick Reuben was the producer, who was a loudness freak. The mixes that they used were completely crazy, overloaded, loud. I didn't do that record, thank God.
I thought, wow, that's so incredibly disappointing. Why can't we get loud, and really competitive, while also preserving and retaining the dynamics and the transients?
Bob Katz has this whole article showing how music from before and after L1 looked like, actually.
Oh gosh, a gentleman named Rudy Ortner did research, and he showed how the loudness levels were going up from year to year.
Are there any artists that you remember from the time being obsessed with loudness and wanting their record to just coming in and be like, listen, I just want you to make it super loud?
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't say. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Did Billy or Phineas ever say, I never need it louder?
Never. But they took care of that earlier on. When you're mixing with a modern mixer like John Castelli, loudness is part of the mixing process.
Bringing it to today, why do we need the L4?
Oh, the L4.
It's funny to hear how all the loudest albums of the mid-2000s are worlds quieter than the material that's coming out today.
The shift to a more hip-hop prevalent music industry, it's driven low end, it's driven transients and punch.
Music sounds way different today than it did 10 years ago, even 5 years ago.
The big part of the sound of today's music still allow for big impact when we hit the choruses, but be of a certain loudness so that they can grab people's attention.
With L1 and L2, there is some built-in trade-off that was great for music at the time. Now with much more heavier bass, we needed a different trade-off.
It still has the L2 sound and the L2 flavor, but it integrates it in a far more modern setting.
We added techniques to cope with the low end very nicely.
Are the loudness wars over?
Happy, yeah. I mean, yes.
No.
No, not at all.
Yes and no.
I think it's never over.
People are still constantly trying to gain people's attention.
A listener will not like something because it's loud. A listener will like something because they're connecting to it. They're connecting to the recording and the song and that artist and everything about that recording.
There's kind of a sweet spot where we're in now. Some people might not call now the sweet spot, but people feel like they can hear the groove, they can feel the groove, they can dance to the groove, they can hear the nuance.
Spotify and Apple Music, they level out your songs and they claim that the loudness wars are over. But as a mixer, I am always at war with the volume of the reference mix that I received to mix. That war will never be over.
Every streaming service sounds different. Spotify, SoundCloud, Tidal, Apple. It's not like the old days where you put a CD on, it's gonna sound the same everywhere. And unfortunately, I don't work for Spotify, I could give a shit. Theirs is the worst.
I was a member of the AES committee that decided on a standard for streaming loudness. Eventually, Spotify did institute loudness normalization.
If you sent them in a file that approved by the artist that was super loud, they would take it down a little bit.
The higher we mastering engineers pushed it up, the more they pulled it down.
Some records were taken down, some weren't, or some could pass it was like a crapshoot.
Some mastering engineers found out that if they pushed it extremely high, they could defeat loudness normalization.
Even though an artist might sound different, even though an artist might have a completely different style than another artist, there is something in us deep inside that does say louder is better to an extent.
I think it's a built-in part of sound, and it's always going to be an issue, the loudness.
The musician, the recording engineer, the producer, the mixing engineer, the mastering engineer, the record label, which one is making this loudness race occur? The answer, in my opinion, is all of us.
Maybe I'm just accustomed to it because I grew up in the generation of listening to records that were mixed with L2, but I think it doesn't sound like a song unless there's a limiter on it.